I am really very much unhappy for not being able to be with you in person. I really regret it. I was planning to travel to New York. The pandemic is not over yet. I was positive 2 weeks ago in Jordan and still was positive, so I had to cancel the travel. Nevertheless, here we have an opportunity to exchange via video link. And thank you very much for you. We meet at a historical juncture. Everybody is very much aware of that. 72 years ago, from the scourge of war to build a system of global cooperation, safeguarding the sovereign equality of all human beings, states, and of the people, and gradually the United Nations built around a whole system, we would say the United Nations system of rules, norms, dealing with the full range of international relations issues. And the United Nations has always been the embodiment of the idea. We share one planet, we need global governance in order to live together peacefully. The United Nations play their role even at the worst moment, at the height of the Cold War. The United Nations kept functioning, and the bedrock of it was the respect for the international rule of law. This is the bedrock of a United Nations, their size or political orientation, committed to respect international law and core principles. And one of the most important principles, the non-use of force in international relations. Here at the European Union, we claim, and I think we are right, in saying that our intrinsic way of being is multilateralism. We are multilateralism by nature. Deepest conviction that we need rules, agreed rules, not imposed but agreed. Goods, to guarantee a fair competitivity among economic actors, and to ensure that there is a global cooperation even among states, different ideological beliefs. Even when we don't have the same idea about how to organize a society, we need to cooperate. Certainly it is easier to cooperate among friends. We need to cooperate in spite of our differences. And we have always been a strong supporter, also financially, which is important. We pay our dues in full and on time. We back big United Nations initiatives like the Sustainable Goals, the Paris Agreement on climate change, to start with crisis. And the hard truth, in spite of that, is that today the multilateral system is under pressure like never before. Global trends and challenges for which we need global cooperations because do not match. There is a strong demand for multilateralism approach to global problems, but the supply is not following. The scale of cooperation is falling short of what is needed to manage the global commons. The most popular one is climate change, and more recently, to climate change and vaccines, or the digital revolution. These are global commons that require a multilateral approach. In each case, the dimension, science, technology are advancing, and the rulemaking are not enough. And that's why, because we have been seeing a rise on power political competition. We have seen more distrust in terms of problems not being solved, wars and conflict that fester, people left at the mercy of events. When I met last year, I already talked about a deficit in multilateralism, supply and demand not matching. and since then. The United Nations Charter has entrusted this Council to maintain international peace and security. So to sit on the Security Council, the world needs this Council to be able to take decisions. And I happily have to say that Russia's war against Ukraine then, and now it's threatening to create a new one, which is hunger. This war has already left tens of thousands of dead. Displaced Ukrainians. This is the fastest growing refugee crisis since World War II. This is what takes place in European soil, in Europe. But this is not a European war. This is an attack on the foundations and this Security Council, and by a permanent member of the Council. And maybe someone believes that it's happening far away, that they are not. No, everybody is being affected. In a globalized world, far away doesn't exist. Everything in one region affects everyone everywhere. That's why it's impossible to compare, to look for small affected by price increases, shortages, on any price increases, a big global economic crisis. And we can see from the shock waves that this war against Ukraine is sending around the world, exacerbating previous tensions on food and energy that existed before the war, but now it has been exacerbating, and it threatens to break the global balances and what has been winning in the past and on the fight against hunger, for example. Here at the European Union, we are fully mobilized to keep Ukraine economically afloat, and I use this opportunity to call on every member of the European nations, be it big or of such an aggression. No one can be neutral. What does it mean, neutral? In this case, being neutral means to be on the side of the aggressor. Use of force is normalized or tolerated. Once again, this war is sending ripple effects throughout the world. And this crisis, with the ills suffering because of climate change before the war. Look, the World Food Programme estimated the number of food doubled from 135 million before the pandemic to 276 millions at the start of, and immediately after when the war started, now this number has grown to 323 million people. So we have lost all the gains have been winning on the fight against hunger, and we are going backwards on the fulfillment of the development goals. Why I have to urge to all of you to help to end the war, to restore Ukraine's sovereignty, and to ensure that the global, all of you to help to end the war, to restore Ukraine's sovereignty and to ensure that the global fallout is being contained. Most important, the growing now, more than 20 million tons of Ukrainian grain cannot reach global markets, and they cannot 100 massive ships that should be docking at ports all over the world. If they do it, if they don't do it, if they don't transport these millions of tons, someone will be suffering. Russia is bombing Ukraine's port. It's bombing the storage of wheat. It's bombing infrastructure and farmland. The Union, who went to see him leave. And at the same time, they claim that it's the European sanctions who is. What's happening speaks for itself. It's not us who are bombing the storages of grain. It's exports. We fully support the United Nations efforts so that Ukraine can reopen its ports. It has to be the top priority of the international community. And the easiest way to do this is for Russia to stop its aggression, to withdraw its troops from all of Ukrainian territory, the nation and others to reopen the Black Sea Only Russia can do that. The military risk to commercial navigation in the area inevitably influence the cost of insurance and transport and sanctions. Until such time comes, we will have to deal with the global consequences of this war. And on this, you have our word. Europe stands by its partners. We support the United Nations role, especially and including the Global Crisis Response Group. We have already in most affected regions. The European Union, its member states, what we call, and we use it more and more, Team Europe, have pledged 1 billion euros for the Sahel, the Lake Chad regions. We have also put in place 225 million food facility to assist our partners in the Middle East and North Africa, respond directly to Russian disinformation and military aggression, not the conduct of legitimate trade. Our sanctions do not prohibit the import and transportation of Russian agricultural goods, food, not fertilizers, not for payment, only applying to that. So our measures do not affect the ability of third countries to purchase from Russia if they wish. Nations, Secretary General Griffiths and United Nations, Secretary General Griffiths and UNTAD Secretary General, and looking for any kind of difficulties that can prevent the Russian export of food and fertilizer. Possible misinterpretation of our sanctions. Possible misinterpretation that trade actors. We are ready to further clarify partners in this regard. We need to work all together in order to prevent these possible effects. Stop anywhere else. This is why the European Union continues to help to prevent and solve conflicts and crises around the world. In crisis management missions and operations on 3 continents, Atalanta and in Bosnia and Herzegovina. Irini, for example, in the Mediterranean, plays a unique role in implementing and has been successfully helping counter piracy on the coast of Somalia since 2008 and is now also addressing other illicit trafficking, including drugs, from March to April. Althea supported. Yes, we do this operation, but beyond this crisis management and peace operations, allow me to give just one figure. For the last years, the United Nations Peace Building Fund. We work together to offer, let's produce Africa. There are specific regional crises where the European Union has a deep stake. We don't forget the Syrian people. We continue supporting the study necessary because millions of, and this represents 3 in Iran. As you know, I am the coordinator because they are coordinating the contracts between the parties. I have to say that the basic elements and terms to do this are known. And basic elements and terms to do this are known, and there are internal issues which are not at the core of the nuclear deal. We stay engaged in the region, and the state of democratic this time was on the headlines of all newspapers around the world. We will continue supporting the Afghan people, especially for women and girls. The Taliban has not fulfilled basic rights, but we are discussing it because they are not being respected. There are many other crises. I could mention Myanmar, but time is flying. Let me stop here. I'm sure that we thank you.